Welcome to our Meet the Lincoln County Democratic Candidates event. It's so great to see everyone today. And I am Chris Johnson, Chair of the Lincoln County Democratic Committee. As one part of our 2022 caucus alternative, this event is intended for registered Lincoln County Democrats. We welcome our neighbors with whom we share legislative districts. We also welcome other Democrats, unenrolled progressives, and supporters to this public event. All of this leads up to our elections, so please save these dates: June 14th, primary and local elections, and November 8th, general elections for governor, state house and state senate, and the U.S. House of Representatives. In America, January 6th, 2021 reminded us just how fragile democracy can be. We learned how dangerous disinformation is, especially when used by people at the highest levels of government who are willing to violate their oaths of office and resort to violence to seize control. Today, our thoughts turn to Ukraine, where the threat of democracy is not only Putin's disinformation, it is Putin's choice to conduct an unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, a free, peaceful, and democratic nation. Putin's forces are killing innocents from children to grandparents and committing war crimes. Some of us even have family in Ukraine. In the chat are ways we can all help the people of Ukraine. The reason for our gathering today is to support our candidates. Thank you to everyone who came out to our signing events to help candidates get on the ballot. Our candidates also need fundraising help. Our Clean Elections candidates collect $5 qualifying contributions from voters in their districts to enable them to receive money from the General Clean Elections Campaign Fund. You may make your contribution online at lincolncountydemocrats.com/clean5. That's digit 5, or contact the candidates directly. Clean Elections candidates may also raise a certain amount of seed money to help them get started. Again, contact the candidates directly to make seed money contributions. If other Democratic candidates ask for donations, they've chosen to run a traditionally funded campaign, or the office only allows traditional donations. Please consider supporting them when asked. Our candidates also need volunteers. We'll share contact info for each candidate in the chat while they talk. Information is also on our website. Please help them. Sign up to volunteer with the LCDC campaign. Even if you have volunteered in the past, please sign up again so that we are sure to have up-to-date contact information and your interests and particular skills. Please go to lincolncountydemocrats.com/volunteer. All of this leads up to our elections, so please save these dates. Again, June 14th, primary and local elections, November 8th, general elections for governor, state house and state senate, and U.S. House of Representatives. Now, on to the main event. Among the speakers for our caucus alternative, before hearing from our candidates, we have a special guest to inspire elected officials, candidates, voters, and even those who are not yet voters to engage in our campaigns and exercise their power to vote. In every election, every issue important to you is on the ballot, because who we elect and what they stand for determines the future policies of our government. That includes one that is very important to our special guest, climate justice. Please welcome special guest Audrey Huffnagel. Audrey is a sophomore at Lincoln Academy, a member of the Maine Youth for Climate Justice, and is already looking forward to voting in the next presidential election. Welcome, Audrey.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Audrey Huffnagel. I live in Damariscotta, and I am a sophomore at Lincoln Academy and a climate justice advocate. Living in Damariscotta, I am lucky enough to have access to a lot of outdoor spaces. I love to swim in the ocean and the Damariscotta Lake and hike along the numerous trails in this area. Growing up, I have developed deep connections to these places and to the outdoors in general. I first learned about climate change in middle school. And as I did more research, I realized how much the effects of the climate crisis are currently impacting and will continue to impact not only these places that I love, but also the future of everyone on this planet. It was this that drove me to join the climate movement in Maine. Now, I work with several youth-led climate organizations, including Maine Youth for Climate Justice, which is a statewide coalition advocating for bold climate action, and Maine Youth Action, an affiliated organization that focuses on legislative and electoral work around climate justice. Through these organizations, I have done a lot of advocacy for climate legislation, such as the Pine Tree Amendment, which would amend the Maine Constitution to include the right to a healthy environment, and a bill to help provide educators with the support they need to teach climate education in schools. My work is centered around the concept of climate justice. Climate justice recognizes that climate change is not just an environmental issue. It is also a justice issue. Climate change does not affect everyone equally. People with marginalized identities, including people who identify as BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, LGBTQ+, and young people, are disproportionately impacted by the effects of climate change. For example, because of systemic structures that have oppressed Black people for generations, many Black people live in communities with limited resources that are often hit the hardest by natural disasters, which are exacerbated by climate change. Climate justice recognizes this intersection between climate change and social justice issues. It is important that solutions to the climate crisis also address these intersectional issues. Often, the people who are most impacted by the climate crisis have contributed the least to it, and they often don't have as much representation in decision-making spaces. Therefore, equitable solutions to the climate crisis must also center and uplift the voices of these communities. Climate change is an issue that will impact my future and the future of everyone in my generation, and it is currently impacting people around the world. In Lincoln County, we are already seeing its effects. Coastal communities, where many people fish for a living, are being impacted by ocean acidification and the warming of the Gulf of Maine, which is actually one of the fastest warming bodies of water in the world. Sea level rise is also a big threat to coastal communities. Already, in Damascotta, when there is a big storm or high tide, our downtown parking lot often gets flooded. Farmers are also being affected by changes in weather patterns, and invasive species are becoming more prevalent, destroying Maine's natural ecosystems. These effects will only worsen if bold and immediate action is not taken to address the climate crisis. Scientists have said that we must dramatically decrease our consumption of fossil fuels by 2030 before the amount of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere becomes irreversible, causing severe natural disasters and mass extinction. In 2030, I will only be 23. This is an issue that is going to impact my life and the lives of everyone in my generation and generations to come. And it will be my generation who will have to deal with its worst effects. Young people around the world are advocating for climate justice and demanding that leaders take the necessary action to mitigate the climate crisis so that we have a chance at a livable future where we can thrive. Through my climate justice work, I have spent a lot of time advocating for bills in the Maine legislature. And I know that even with a Democratic majority, it can be hard to get bold climate legislation passed. If we lose that Democratic majority in this next election cycle, we are effectively losing 2 years that we could be getting climate legislation passed. And with only 8 years until 2030, time is precious. We need to elect legislators who will not only support, but also take the lead in advocating for and introducing bold and immediate climate legislation. We need leaders who will make climate change a priority, because it is one of the most important issues of our time. The action that leaders take or fail to take right now will determine the future of our planet. I will not be able to vote in this next election, and it will still be 2 more years until I'm able to do so, but you can vote, and you need to vote. Get involved in whatever ways you can. Donate to Democratic candidates or provide clean election contributions. Volunteer. Get involved in whatever ways you can so that we can elect legislators who will help drive the change that is needed to address the climate crisis. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Audrey. Thank you so much. And that sets the tone for everything I think we're about to hear from our candidates. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly Whitlock Burton. I'm the Vice Chair of the Lincoln County Dems. Thank you all for being here today. What better way to start than to hear from Audrey on that? So we're going to go through a number of candidates today. As Chris had mentioned earlier, we're not going to do Q&A at this point. We are going to have all of our candidates back in for future meetings. There will have plenty of opportunity for Q&A and for interaction with members of our community. But today is a chance for you to get to know the people who are going to be on the ballot. We're going to start with our sheriff, Todd Brackett. Sheriff Brackett was first elected in 2002, and this is his he has served 20 years as Lincoln County Sheriff, and we are very fortunate that he is running again. Sheriff Brackett.
Thank you, Kelly. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Boy, that's a tough act to follow behind Audrey. Boy, I am some lucky. We are some lucky to be in a great state, in a beautiful part of the mid-coast right here in Lincoln County, where our young folks are as engaged as Audrey is. It's an inspiration for me to hear her. I'm glad you're in tune, Audrey, and I look forward to what you have to bring to all of us in the future. Let me tell you, I'm doing my best part as sheriff. You talk about climate control. It's something that we all worry about. The county commissioners have been very supportive of us here at the sheriff's office in so many ways. One simple way is that we're switching over to hybrid vehicles here at the sheriff's office. We have 27 vehicles in our fleet. It's a small step, and the commissioners keep pushing us towards all electric. We're just waiting for technology to catch up with the pursuit type vehicles that we use and those kind of things. So every little bit helps. So I really appreciate your interest there. Again, my name is Todd Brackett. I'm a resident in Noblesboro. It's been my privilege to serve as your sheriff for the last 19 years. This is my 20th year in office. I just turned 56 last October, and feel like I still have a lot to contribute. So I'm really looking forward to the upcoming election. Some of the things that are going on in Lincoln County from a law enforcement perspective that are key priorities to us here at the sheriff's office. One of which is domestic violence. Another is substance use disorder, and the repeated struggles that we have dealing with folks who are struggling with mental illness and lack services, right? All of these things are priorities to us. We've seen, we've seen a leveling in our drug crimes here in Lincoln County. In other words, we haven't seen a sharp increase in drug crimes. We have seen a sharp increase in overdoses and overdose deaths, as you're all aware of. Last year was a record year, a record that we shouldn't be very proud of as far as the state goes regarding overdose deaths. So it's a priority to us. Our deputies are out dealing with it on a daily basis and trying to help families through it. You know, one of the struggles that we have, and one of my priorities has been, is trying to find alternatives to the justice system to address some of these issues, right? So, you know, we work hard on alternative sentencing programs. We've partnered with Mid-Coast Addiction Resource Center, local Lincoln Health, Maine Health, and community partners around substance use disorder, mental health, co-occurring disorders, finding referral spots so we can deflect folks from the justice system into the treatment that they need and try to get some intervention. And our goal, of course, is to keep them out of our justice system, keep them from coming back into our jail. You know, we work collaboratively with 4 counties in the mid-coast here and provide an alternative sentencing program every year for relatively, misdemeanor offenses, lower severity crimes, if you will. We've partnered with Wavis and used their campus for a 7-day program that we do twice a year over there as an alternative that's focused on education around the issues that I've mentioned. It focuses on community service and giving the opportunity to these folks to give back to the community and be a little bit more productive rather than just spend an extra week in jail. So it's just an example. We work closely with our district attorney's office. Again, the county commissioners who have been supportive of those programs, and those will continue to be priorities for me as I move forward. One of the big things on the horizon, and one of the things that we've been talking about a lot nationally and here in Maine, and certainly issues that our legislators in Augusta are grappling with, and that's justice reform, right? As a law enforcement officer, who's been doing this this is my 35th year. I started in 1987 in Kennebec County as a deputy sheriff. You know, I think it's healthy for us to stop and take a look in the mirror and ask the question, you know, the services that we're providing, are we doing it as the best we could? Are we following best practices? What is it that the public needs to know or wants to know about how we provide the services that we provide, and so on and so forth. I think there needs to be a balance. There needs to be transparency. There needs to be a balance between justice reform and public safety, and a lot of tough issues that are being discussed around law enforcement matters right now. So to that end, you know, I've been working for a few months trying to put together a citizens advisory committee here in Lincoln County. It's voluntary. I'm trying to find a diverse group of individuals from all over the county that aren't handpicked by me, but are handpicked by some folks who have volunteered, stepped forward, and showed an interest and wanted to know about what we do here at the sheriff's office. Wanting to, you know, with my goal of increasing communication between the office of sheriff and the citizens that we serve. I want
About a minute left, Todd.
thank you, comfortable level of transparency, so folks understand what it is we're doing and where we're going from here. So I'm looking forward to that. That project's just getting off the ground. It's exciting, and I look forward to what the future holds. You are going to hear from some great candidates coming up here in a few minutes. I hope you join me in supporting the Democratic ticket this fall. Thank you very much for listening. Hope to see you all soon.
Thank you so much, Todd. That's a wonderful update, and thank you for sharing all of that with us today. Next up, we have our District Attorney, Natasha Irving. Natasha serves Prosecutorial District 6, which includes Lincoln, Knox, Sagadahoc, and Waldo counties. In 2018, Natasha became the first woman and the first Democrat elected to this post. She's running for her second term. Hi, Natasha. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you so much to everyone who's spending their Sunday here listening to candidates and really taking part in the democratic process. Obviously, we can't have a democracy without all of these folks that are here really taking an interest and taking responsibility for how our state, our towns, our criminal justice system, our country operates. So thank you so much. And Kelly hit the nail on the head. I'm the district attorney, right? I was the first elected district attorney in this district that was a Democrat, that was a woman. I'm the first district attorney in the state, in the history of the state, that was a former defense attorney and that ran on a criminal justice reform ticket. And now I'm also the first district attorney in the state that gave birth while in office. And so I think Lincoln County has a lot to be proud about there's my cat, a lot to be proud about for taking a chance, right, on a candidate that had a different vision. A vision that we could have a criminal justice system that better served us and that we better served through using community-based restorative justice for the folks that are in our communities that are dealing with mental illness, substance use disorder, recurrent and continued homelessness, and the many challenges that folks have to deal with in our communities. And these aren't people that live in the shadows. These aren't people that we don't know. These are literally our family members. These are our friends. These are the people that we that work at our local businesses. These are the people that are the backbone of our economy. And historically, we have been prosecuting those folks by levying fines, sending them to jail, as statutes allow. And the new vision that I had run on and that you all invested in was one where we would get people on their feet instead of making sure they had a conviction or a fine or jail time, that we would look at trying to restore the community and try to restore the individual and we would try to restore the victim through different means when possible. Now, that doesn't mean that we're looking at taking violent individuals who are harming our communities, sex offenders, and folks who are making our communities unsafe and dangerous and just sending them on their merry way. But what this focus has been on is that folks that are committing nonviolent offenses, often triggered, often the root cause of which are drug use, mental illness, poverty, recurrent homelessness, trauma history, that we're going to be safer by getting them back on their feet, that we're going to be safer by taking care of them. We're going to be safer if we use those resources to help victims who've been traumatized get on their feet. So we're not dealing with them as offenders in the future, because we know that the people that are hurting others in the community, the people that are committing crimes, are overwhelmingly survivors of trauma. So you came with me along on this vision, right? And so what's happened now after 3 years? We have worked lockstep with Restorative Justice Project of Midcoast Maine. They were able to secure $1 million grant by working with the Bureau of Justice Administration, saying that we had this investment with the district attorney in 4 counties, and they're working on community-based restorative justice up and down our coast in District 6. And we're really looking at being able to take these steps in transforming our justice system, having a system where folks are diverted into restorative justice, where we try to prevent crime by getting folks connected to community. Now,
About a minute left, Natasha.
Excuse me?
About a minute left.
Thank you very much. And so the other piece of this, I think that Sheriff Brackett just hit the nail on the head, right? That we need balance. We need balance in any of these systems. And also working lockstep with folks like Sheriff Brackett and our other democratically elected sheriffs, our police chiefs up and down the coast, making sure that we're zealously prosecuting those who are harming our communities through violence and through sexual crimes. We can't do it. We can't do any of the work that we're doing without really incredible law enforcement partners like Sheriff Brackett. And we appreciate him and his staff. We appreciate our other PDs in Lincoln County. And so that's what we're doing. We are focused on making sure that we are doing what we can to prevent crime, to mitigate crime, but we're also looking to make our community safe as possible when we're dealing with the violent offenders, when we're dealing with the folks who truly do need jail and prison. And during a time like COVID, it's really important to make those decisions about who's going to be using those beds at our jail and our prison. And they need to be
about 5 minutes, Natasha.
And they need to be reserved for the folks who truly we need protection from. So thank you to Sheriff Brackett. Thank you to all of you who are here today. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Great. Thank you so much, Natasha. Just love hearing all the work that you've been doing these past 3 years, and looking forward to re-electing you so that you can continue that very good work for our communities. As most of you know, we have 2 Democratic candidates running for our state Senate seat. That's for Senate District 13. Both of them are here with us today. Senate District 13 includes all of Lincoln County except for the town of Dresden. And it includes also Windsor, which is in Kennebec County, and Washington in Knox County. We're going to hear first from Cameron Rennie, there we go. Cameron, if you'd like to share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Kelly. Hi, everybody. I'm Cameron Rennie. I grew up right here in Bristol, which is where I currently live with my husband and my 2 boys. I have a little special needs kiddo, Georgie, who's 4, and little Leon is about 1.5. I grew up in a working class family. A lot of these comments that have been made already really ring true. I did have a father who had some untreated mental illness as well as a substance use disorder. So times were tough, but life goes on. I worked my way through college, and I always knew that I wanted to leave the world a better place than I found it. And I think that's what drew me to becoming a state certified school counselor. I love my job. I love working with kids and with families. I teach classes, do one-on-ones, we do group work. My priorities are making sure kids reach their potential academically, social, emotionally, as well as with career development. I do the extras. I do clubs for the kids. I participate in committee work and help develop policies and procedures both at a school-wide and district-wide level. I've also done some time on the Maine School Counseling Association board. I served as their president as well, so I've done some state-level work. So years after being in public schools and now after having a few young kids of my own, I just think it's more important than ever that we do whatever we can to protect a bright future for the next generations. And there's 3 issues that come to mind that I think we need to deal with immediately. There's affordable housing, access to healthcare, and climate change. Okay. So right now we have a affordable housing crisis in this district. The very few homes that are available are unaffordable. Families are being displaced. Families are ending up homeless. It's a safety issue. People don't have a new place to move if they're in an unsafe situation. It's an economic issue. We need people to be able to move here and become part of our economy and work in our stores and work in our restaurants. It's a big problem. And I want to go to Augusta and bring stakeholders to the table to come up with some creative solutions, because this is a rural district, so it will likely need to be creative. The second piece is healthcare. I have a brother who, unfortunately, his kidney stopped working at about 19, and watching him have to make major life decisions based on the cost of dialysis or the cost of immunosuppressants prescriptions is devastating. And I know that he is just one story of so many the same or worse. It's wrong. Insulin prices have been rising. Dialysis costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and it needs to change. Healthcare is a human right. So I want to work on that issue as well. And then, of course, climate change. We have no future, literally or figuratively, if we don't do something about this. I think corporations and politicians have been kicking this can down the road for far too long, and we have to do something about it. I want to see the Pine Tree Amendment passed, and I want to be working in Augusta to make sure the policies are implemented. Because when you think of the state of Maine, our life quality is it's so intertwined with our agriculture, our fisheries, our aquaculture, our tourism dollars. We need to protect the environment for ourselves, for our economy, and especially for future generations. We have a responsibility to do that. So those are my big issues. That being said, I also know as state senator, I would be working for everyone. So I've been doing my best to get out there into the communities. The people that I've talked to have already come up with whole lists of other things that need to be worked on. Everything from over-regulation of the lobstering industry to public servants' pension plans being gouged to excessive litter on the sides of the roads. I know that there's a lot of work that needs to happen. And I'm capable of getting that work done, but I do need your help in order to get there. So if you have $5, please give me $5 for a qualifying contribution. I am running clean elections. Or if you have any time or talents you want to volunteer, you can go to my website. It's teamrennie.com and click that volunteer button. I'll take anything. That would be wonderful. Yep, that's me.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Appreciate that. For those of you on Zoom, you'll notice in the chat, we're sharing links to how you can reach the candidates, how you can get involved. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube through our live stream, you'll be able to find that same information at our website, lincolncountydemocrats.com/March 6. And we'll share that again throughout. So you'll be able to get that information there as well. Our next speaker is our second primary candidate for Senate District 13, David Levesque. David, welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly said, my name is David Levesque, and I'm a resident of Newcastle. I live there with my wife, Susan, who is a math and robotics teacher at Lincoln Academy. I do have to interject that she did take her robotics team to the state's competition yesterday for the first time, and they came in second. And they've been invited to the national competition in Dallas, Texas. So stay tuned for the results of that. Two of our three sons are on that team as well. So for the last 25 years, I've pursued justice for my clients by practicing law. 23 of those have been from Damariscotta. I've served on the Maine Justice Foundation Board, as well as the Justice Action Group. So I will discuss a little bit more about that later. But first, a little bit more background. I too grew up on the coast, but just a little bit further down east in Hancock County. Unfortunately, I did come from a low-income family. We relied a lot on government help, such as food stamps and those big orange blocks of cheeses that they used to hand out. And I've started working when I was 11, raking blueberries, delivering newspapers, and ended up being a first generation college student, graduated from Ellsworth High School and headed off for a education through the University of Maine system. First, I attended the University of Maine at Farmington. Then I obtained a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Southern Maine, and then the law degree from Maine Law. And that education, heavily subsidized by the Maine taxpayers, have brought to me a sense of commitment that I have to give back to my community. And currently I serve on the Newcastle Select Board and am the chair of the Broadband Committee. And by the way, if we have any Newcastle residents on today, I encourage you to come tomorrow night's Select Board meeting to support broadband expansion in town. I have been on the board of the Lincoln Theater. I am currently serving on the Carpenter's Boat Shop Board. I'm a past president of the Maine State Bar Association, the prior chair of the University of Maine at Farmington Board of Visitors, and I'm a past president of the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm in organizations and I end up leading them, and I enjoy doing that. And I hope to bring my talents of my professional experience and leadership skills to work on issues that I really care about. And I realize that if I have the skills to work on those, I can't wait for others to deal with the healthcare. We really need to make some serious changes there. And people should not be making healthcare decisions on financial considerations. Education, as you've seen, it made a big change in my life. It can change others. We really need to promote the University of Maine system and the University of Maine's community college system as well. We've heard it by Audrey and others. Climate change is a serious issue. I think we need to look towards green technology. We need to promote more for electric cars. One thing we should develop is a green bank and put state funds in a bank that we could use as an investment vehicle towards green projects. Lastly, it's my life, as many others, unfortunately, in the community, has been affected by overdose and addiction. We really need to make serious changes in our justice system and to deal with that, and mental health systems, because we can't have another 636 deaths in overdoses for this year as we did last year. We can stop this endemic, and we should put great attention to it. So this is a daunting task, running for the Senate, and I invite you to join me in this effort. And there's many ways, as you'll see in the chat, of ways to do that, but I hope to hear from all of you with your ideas, suggestions, supports. So please don't hesitate to use that information to contact me. And hope to see you all in person someday really soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And I did just put your information in the chat for everyone to see. A reminder that our Senate primary, the date for that is June 14th. You'll be hearing more from our candidates before that primary and from us. Our next speaker is Senator Majority Leader Eloise Vitelli, who currently serves District 23. That includes Dresden here in Lincoln County and all of Saginaw County. Senator Vitelli was first elected to the Senate in a special election in 2013. She was elected by her peers in 2018 to serve as Assistant Majority Leader for the Senate, and last year she was elected Majority Leader. Welcome, Senator Vitelli.
Thank you very much, Kelly, and good afternoon, everybody in Lincoln County. I get to be with you because my district does include Dresden, which is, as you know, a town in Lincoln County. But I'm personally very pleased to be here, not just because I represent Dresden County, but because Lincoln County is where I first came when I arrived in Maine. I lived in Newcastle. for a year, and I worked in the Head Start program serving Lincoln County. And so I got to learn sort of from the ground up about the communities and the people in this county, doing home visits in Bremen and Bristol and Waldoboro and, you know, really the whole county, Booth Bay. So Lincoln County has always remained sort of my first love, if you will, as I have established myself here as a Maine resident. I've been here for over 40 years. I currently live in Arousek, where I came and built my house. I live here with my husband, my 2 cats and 3 chickens, my 2 grown sons. One of them is here. The other one is out of state, unfortunately. But they have Maine in their blood. They're very much tied to the kind of place Maine is, their love of the outdoors, their love of being with other people and friends has really warmed my heart as they've grown into productive, wonderful men that they are now. I am seeking re-election to my 4th and what will be my final term to the Senate. It's been a challenging 2 years for sure, but the video that was shown in the beginning gave you a sense, gave all of us a sense of what we were able to accomplish in spite of the fact that we did so much of our work remotely. It's not been easy, but all of us have paid a price during this pandemic. We've lost contact with our family members. The normal pace and rhythms of our lives have gotten upended in so many different ways. At the same time, as we all struggled with adjusting to the demands of this pandemic, I also got to see in my community and elsewhere around the state incredible examples of kindness, generosity, and a commitment to really building our community and taking care of each other. And that's what drives me to want to continue in this vein and to continue to run for the state Senate, even more given the world events that we're looking at today. The effort that's going to take to reach out to each other, to love each other, to build community, to make sure that we have a future. I just want to be part of that. And I want to particularly thank Audrey for being part of it as well. I am so pleased and hopeful to have younger folks getting involved and, you know, giving voice to your concerns, to your desires for a future. So Audrey, thank you for being here and speaking to the issues that are most critical for you. I want to mention just a couple things. In addition to legislative work, which is what senators and representatives are elected to do, to solve problems legislatively in Augusta, I'll mention just a couple of my accomplishments from the last session. One was in the video, LD 1622, which created the Maine Retirement Savings Board, which I'm so proud of. It took 8 years to get there, but we are now about to appoint the board that's going to set this program in motion so that anyone working in the state can save for their future, for their retirement. So
About a
that's
minute
one of,
left, Eloise.
thank you. That's one of my big accomplishments. The other is a bill that's currently going through, which is to encourage public sector to purchase clean vehicles. So I'm delighted to hear that in Lincoln County, you're already moving in that direction. Yay for you. But I do want to also say that the other piece of work that legislators do is constituent work. We resolve issues and help our constituents, the people who live in our district, deal with the issues that they're faced with. And I just want to share with you very quickly, something we're all experiencing right now is the high cost of electricity, this winter in particular. And I got a call from a constituent in Topsom a week or so ago, just amazed that his electric bill had doubled. Thankfully, based on some relationships that we've built over years working in this community, I was able to find some resources for him that took care of his extra charge on his electric bill. And so he is much relieved. I am very grateful to know that our community action agency and its supporters were able to step in and help this individual. So I just want to share that with you to say that sometimes we solve big problems that affect all of us, and other times we're working to make changes for individual lives of the people that we live with, our neighbors, our friends in our community. So thank you for this
Eloise.
privilege. I look forward to being part of this group into the future.
Thank you so much, Eloise. And thank you too for highlighting the constituent work. That is critically important, and I know a big piece of what our elected officials do when they're in office. That is certainly true for our next speaker. We have Bill Blodgett with us today, William Blodgett. He is the Lincoln County Commissioner for District 2. That includes Bremen, Bristol, South Bristol, Monhegan Plantation, Nobleboro, Waldoboro, and Louds Island. And Bill is running for his 8th term as County Commissioner. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Bill Blodgett, and I'm seeking re-election in District 2 of County Commissioner here in Lincoln County, which comprises of Waldoboro, Bremen, Nobleboro, Bristol, South Bristol, and Monhegan. I've been living here for 61 years and spent a lot of time teaching history and government in our local school system. I have also served in the Maine legislature, been a board member on the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee in Waldoboro, and as pointed out by Kelly, have been active as a county commissioner. The Lincoln County has been a very innovative county, probably one of the, I think, more innovative in the state. We have done several things which have been quite different from a lot of others. We were the first county to have a county-wide dispatch system, which has made the 911 system much more efficient and available to all of our citizens. We have a county planning and economic development office, which works with each one of the towns as they would like for town planning and for grant writing, for working, trying to get businesses to move in for employment into one of our 19 county towns. One of the very innovative programs that we have is recycling. We've been doing this now for about 40 years for paper, cardboard, some plastics. We removed from the waste stream over $1 million worth of, or saved the towns over $1 million in tipping and shipping fees and getting rid of their waste, which is at a much lesser expense. So I think this has been a real savings for the taxpayers. We have developed a animal control office, which serves 14 towns, and again, has been able to coordinate this service for the towns, and again, making it easier for the towns in providing this service, which is required by statute. Another one of the programs has been the Shellfish Ordinance enforcement. Again, for our coastal communities, this is very important that we do this in a proper way, and we have contracts with a number of our coastal communities. It's been a great pleasure to serve the people in Lincoln County, and I would ask for your support in this next election. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate that, and so grateful to have you here and to represent me here in Waldoboro. So thank you very much. As many of you may have read about or heard from us already, we had redistricting this year following the 2020 census, and so there are new districts. One of the things that Autumn Mahoney, our fabulous techno wizard, has created for us is a slide that you're now seeing on your screen. This lists every town in Lincoln County and your Senate and House district and your county commissioner district. We've also included neighboring towns that share districts within Lincoln County. So we're going to leave this up for just a moment. You can find this on our website as well. Just to take just another moment for people to be able to find your town, find your district. And this is especially true, especially important for our House districts. Those are the ones where here in Lincoln County, we saw the biggest change. So I think we're ready to move on. Now that you know your House districts, I think we're ready to move on to our first House candidate speaker. We're joined today by Clint Collimore from Waldoboro. Clint is running for House District 45, which includes Bremen, Waldoboro, Louds Island, and Lincoln County. It also includes Friendship and Washington in Knox County. Welcome, Clint.
Good afternoon. My name is Clinton Collimore. I live here in Waldoboro. Lived in Midcoast my entire life. Went to Bremen grade school. I'd like to note that first through 8th grade, we had 58 children. 3 classrooms. I guess it's finally closed now, but it's a town office now. But I went to Madama Valley High School, Region 8 Midcoast School of Technology, and I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration and a minor in business. Came from a farming and fishing family. I'm a 4th generation lobsterman. I go out of the same harbor down in Bremen that my family went out of. I've dug clams here. I can look down the Waldoboro River right here, all over this river, completely down to Bremen. I also spent 23 years in a shipyard in Bath as a machinist. And while I was there, I was also a union official. I spent 18 years or so on the Board of Selectmen in Waldoboro, many of them as chair, and I've been on numerous committees. I'm a member of the Waldoboro Masons, the Elks Lodge in Rockland, Maine Lobstermen's Association, and a lifetime member of the Sportsman Alliance Maine. My family includes Rhonda. I have 2 children, Katie and CJ, and 5 grandchildren, all of Waldoboro. A couple of the reasons I'm running, our incumbent is not. And Jeff had asked me if I would consider something like that, and I really had to think about it. As mentioned previously, they've done some redistricting, which really makes sense for me. So one real important reason for me is the concerns about the fishing regulations. Ever since I can remember, and I started with my father and grandfather in '66, there's been rules and regulations over and over again. And we've been the conservationists. We've jumped through all of the hoops that we've had to over the years. And now we've got into NOAA, and the feds have taken over, and we're into this whole whale issue. It's like it's never ending. So I'm very concerned about that. We have a lot of conversations around the water, but I think we need someone in Augusta that can really talk about it. Another issue is being the oldest population in the United States. We are. We've got a lot of seniors who are struggling. I don't know if other people talk to them, but I do. They're worried about paying taxes. Their oil for homes now, the CMP bills, that's got ridiculous. And you know what the grocery stores are now. And I see a lot of young couples the same way. They don't talk so much about it, but they're out there too. They need a voice. And I guess another thing that really bothers me, I think, is There's just way too many politics in everything. You know, people shouldn't be labeled by parties. We never used to have such a thing like that. We need to create some type of respect in relationships. We need to bring that back. It's sad. I think it's sad. We did this at the shipyard. It wasn't all. When I first got down there, and this was in the early 80s, it was us and them. But we had to change the way we done business. That's why the shipyard's very successful with that.
About another minute, Clint.
Yep. So this isn't Washington, D.C. This is Maine. And hope to meet all of you at some point to hear your issues. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Clint, very much for being here. Next up, we have Representative Lydia Crafts of Newcastle. Lydia was first elected to the Maine House in 2020 to serve House District 90. That district has been remade and the new number is House District 46. This would be her second term in the legislature, and District 46 includes Bristol, Damascotta, Monhegan Island, Newcastle, and Noblesboro. Thank you for being here, Representative Crafts.
Thank you, Kelly, and thanks everyone for being here to join us today. I apologize, I'm double booked today, working hard on a bill, the Good Samaritan expansion bill. It's LD 1862. So if you don't know about it, please look into it and call your senators and ask them to support the Waxman amendment. We're working to save lives from unintentional overdose fatalities. So thank you anyway. For being here. I started my current role in December of 2020, and it's been an amazing ride. It was unexpected when I first campaigned. COVID was not here, and so it's been an unusual session. But regardless of all of the COVID restrictions and difficulties, we've really done some amazing work in the last year, and I look forward to the next year ahead. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm a clinical social worker, and my work in mental health and substance use is really what brought me to the legislature, as well as being a parent and raising two children in Mid-Coast Maine. I grew up in Belfast and moved down the coast about 10 years ago when I met my husband, Kevin. I've been proud to serve this district for the last year. It's been an amazing experience. I serve on the Marine Resources Committee. And as Clint was just talking about the fishing industry, currently we're up against some huge challenges. I was pleased that our committee, with bipartisan support just this past week, reached agreement on the Fishing Legal Defense Fund, because as we know, both the industry at a $1.4 trillion industry in the state of Maine, as well as really the backbone of our cultural heritage along the coast, it's a vital piece of what it means to live in Mid-Coast Maine. And the Department of Marine Resources, as well as the Marine Resources Committee, is working hard to advocate for reasonable regulations that don't destroy the industry and our culture. I have been proud to support some important work in the legislature around the environment. Last year's budget did an amazing job of funding $40 million to Land for Maine's Futures, which one of the important pieces of this includes working waterfronts. We see this in our work with the Marine Resources, as well as just development along the Maine coast, and how that intersects really closely with housing needs. And our landscape has changed significantly during COVID. And one of the challenges that's really risen out of that is housing. Looking ahead at this current year, the Speaker of the House, Ryan Fecteau, has just put forward LD 2003, which is a comprehensive housing bill. And I look forward to supporting that in really changing how our state plans for and allows for housing development, because as you know, speakers before me have said today, housing is one of those crucial issues. In addition to housing, our Democratic caucus, as well as the whole legislature, is really prioritizing mental health services in the state, coming out of COVID, we see a huge decline in overall mental health, an increase in youth suicide rates, increased suicide and overdose rates. We're at 636 overdose deaths for 2021. We've seen an influx, as Sheriff Brackett said, fentanyl-laced drugs coming into our communities. And I think it's one of our top priorities as a legislature to really save lives and make sure that we can live in healthy and safe communities. In my role as a representative, I have, taken on some of the work that I plan to, but I've really been surprised by the constituency work. And it's been an amazing experience to hear from each of you with concerns, with areas of issue or worry that I didn't have lived experience with. One of those is our local firefighting departments and what's called LOSAP, or the Length of Service Award Program, which is a retirement program for firefighters in the state of Maine that's been around for years, but the state has never funded it. I was proud in 2021
30 seconds more.
that our state was able to fund LOSAP for the first time, and the governor has committed additional funds moving forward in this year's budget. So I am running for re-election because I care deeply about our community. I've worked hard to build relationships in Augusta, and I think that the work that I'm doing is important, and I can be a strong conduit for your voice in Augusta for District 46. I'm always happy to hear from you. I would love your support. I have all of my signatures, but would love $5 clean elections contributions at the state website. And please reach out to me anytime. I'm always available, and I look forward to continuing our work together. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lydia. And we look forward to helping to get you back so that you can continue the great work that you're doing. Next up, we have Representative Holly Stober. Holly was first elected in 2018 to serve what was then House District 89. Her new House District number is 48. That includes Booth Bay Harbor, Edgecombe, South Bristol, Southport, and Westport Island. Welcome, Representative Stober.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you everyone for being here this afternoon. It's great to see so many friendly and wonderful faces. I've proudly served in District 89. This is my 4th year. Hoping to return for my next term in District 48. It's going to take me a while to get used to saying that, so I'm going to be practicing a lot. But I think about when I first came in, and I want to remind all of us, because 2022 is going to be a year where we're really going to need to work together closely and strongly. Because when we were talking 4 years ago, we did not have Medicaid expansion. And some of the things that was one of the largest and first accomplishments we did, among many things that we did when the governor first took office 4 years ago. But in addition, a lot of things were broken apart, dismantled and broken apart. And we have for 4 years tried to rebuild state government. A great example of that is the first time I serve on the Health and Human Services Committee and the Government Oversight Committee. I'm currently the Government Oversight Committee House Chair. And if you remember, when 4 years ago, when the governor first took office and Dr. Shaw arrived to Maine, there were 120 vacancies at the Maine CDC. Just put that in context of 120 people who were not working. Those vacancies sat empty for years. And then we see 2 years later, because most of the positions had been filled and we have a pandemic. So some of the things that we've been able to do while flying through a pandemic, through a storm, have simply been amazing. And Medicaid expansion and returning positions to state government and rebuilding state government have been hallmarks of that. I've listened to my colleagues, and I think they've all pretty much said what needed to be said, but I will just speak for myself and say some of the things that I think have really helped local people stay in their homes, remain in our communities. For instance, the Homestead Exemption, we were able to raise the Homestead Exemption during the 129th from $1,500 to $2,500. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a deal breaker for a person who wants to stay in their home and not lose it to tax liens. We were able to return revenue sharing, which always existed in statute, but had been ignored. And we returned revenue sharing to our towns. And then we put general purpose aid back to our schools. And those three things stand out for me. I say the three legs of the stool that really shored up our communities, our local communities, to be in a better position financially. And those are things that we can't slide backwards on. When I think about the next election, I think about how we can't slide backward. We do need bipartisan support for our work. We do need to work together, but we need to hold on to majority in the House and the Senate in order to do that. And it's really important that we all work together in the next 8 months or 10 months. I don't know how many, it doesn't matter. We work together forever to make sure that that happens. In my work at the legislature, I serve, as I said, on the Health and Human Services Committee, and we are a committee that has usually 2/3 of the bills and the budget. And we are deeply involved with child welfare, both at the Government Oversight Committee and Health and Human Services Committee right now. Oversight of child welfare as it pertains to the child deaths that we experienced in May, and looking at child welfare reform. We're working very hard to address serious mental health gaps in service. Those are both through rates, and also I think that we have underfunded a system. I can say that because I worked for 20 years of my life. I worked deep into it. If you know me at all, I'm deeply passionate about mental health, adult and child mental health. And it's something that has been neglected. And not only is it a workforce issue, it is also a service issue. And you can walk into any emergency room in this state and you will find people who are living in emergency rooms right now. And I find that to be untenable. It is absolutely untenable.
A minute left, Holly.
We also, as other people have mentioned, we're working diligently on substance use disorder. In my day-to-day life, I work with the Booth Bay Harbor Police Department and provide addiction outreach services to people in my community. In 5.5 years, we've served over 300 people, and we continue to do it every day. We have a tremendous affordable housing problem that needs to be addressed both on the local level. Lydia mentioned the speaker's bill, LD 2003, and that has some very interesting work that we need to do around changing ordinances and allowing for accessory dwelling units. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, but something we really need to address. Childcare and workforce issues are critical for our part of the state. We're often neglected when it comes to having our share of housing money. We haven't had any development around here in decades. And I want to just say that Clint was spot on. I have a bill this session. It's a $30 million funding bill to provide replacement gear funding to lobstermen because some of the NOAA restrictions on the federal waters have been imposed on fishermen. They weren't done in collaboration with fishermen, and we really have to spend money in order to keep our livelihood, our culture, and our heritage around lobster and fishing here in Lincoln County.
Thank you, Holly.
It's a bill I'm pretty passionate about. So I could go on all day, but I won't. I will just ask for you all to continue to support all of us. We've got to do this together, and we've got to really work very hard to hold on to our majority. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Holly, for being here. And we will definitely work hard to send you back. You've got a lot of good work still ahead of you, and we want to help you get that done. Our last speaker today is Pam Swift. Excuse me, our last candidate to speak today will be Pam Swift. Pam is running for House District 62. In Lincoln County, that includes the town of Somerville. It also includes Palermo and Waldo County and China and Windsor and Kennebec County. This is an open seat this year, and it's one that we want to help Pam take. Welcome, Pam.
Hi, thank you. My name is Pam Swift, and I'm running for Maine's House of Representatives in District 62. As Kelly mentioned, this is a new district, which is comprised of Somerville, Windsor, China, Palermo, and Hibbett's Gore. My husband and I moved to Palermo 10 years ago, and though we'll always be from away, my Maine roots do run deep. My great-grandfather owned an insurance business in Bangor, and my grandparents owned a hardware store in Bucksport. And when my dad retired, my parents moved full-time to the beach cottage that my great-grandfather had built on the Penobscot in 1922. Regarding my education, I earned a bachelor's degree in animal science. I'd planned to become a veterinarian, but I got a little bit off track and wound up going to medical school instead. After completing residency in obstetrics and gynecology, I joined a large private practice and became full partner owner of the medical group. Our group had the only high-risk doctor in town and all of the surrounding towns. So this meant that all the most complex, complicated obstetrical cases came through our practice. And since I was the junior member of the group and on call most frequently, an awful lot of these high-risk pregnancies, complications, emergencies wound up coming in on my watch. I handled the emergency situations technically and medically, but boy, did they make my life stressful. I loved caring for my patients and never ceased to feel complete awe when ushering new life into the world. And being able to perform life-saving surgeries gave me an immense reverence for the fragility of life. But after 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and 19 years of private practice, I decided to create a less stressful life by returning to my animal science roots. My husband and I bought a farm in Palermo where we raised sheep for wool and meat, chickens for meat and eggs, and the occasional pig or two. The interesting thing is my animal science schooling taught the industrial model of meat production using methods like feedlots for cattle and farrowing crates for pigs. We wanted to raise our animals organically and in a more natural environment. So I took classes through MOFGA and the USDA and read lots of books on organic farming, permaculture, and holistic management. So naturally, as a candidate for Maine's House of Representatives, my focus is on issues concerning healthcare, agriculture, and the environment. Under healthcare, I'm acutely interested in health insurance coverage for all, reducing the cost of prescription medications, and preventing and treating opioid addiction. With regards to agriculture, my concerns revolve around food sovereignty, increasing ways to support our small family farms, and now how to deal with the threat imposed by PFAS or forever chemicals. And with the environment, Maine's average temperatures have already increased by 2 degrees Celsius, and this has created observable real-world concerns. On our farm, due to drought, there have been years where I've had to start feeding our sheep hay in August instead of December, because the grass just didn't grow back after the first rotation of grazing. This dramatically increases the cost of production. Also, milder winters mean more ticks in the spring and fall, resulting in higher risk of contracting Lyme disease. And the worst new scourge is the brown-tailed moth, whose tiny hairs cause a poison ivy-like rash in many people. This has a direct negative impact on people's quality of life and also on people's businesses, especially those involving tourism. So in summary, my education and lived experience provide me with a fund of knowledge that will make mine a valuable voice in the Maine legislature. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Pam. And I think I speak for everybody here when we're looking forward to hearing more from you and learning more about you. Your background sounds just uniquely suited to serving in the House. So thank you for being here. And thank you to all of our candidates for being here today. Those of you on Zoom can find all of their contact information in the chat. It's a very long scroll, so we're going to make it easy for you by also putting that up on our website. That'll be at lincolncountydemocrats.com/March 6th, and you can find out there how to connect with all of our candidates. We are thrilled this year to have back with us Howard Waxman as our campaign manager. In 2018, Howard was the Lincoln County field representative for the state party. He was energizing and wonderful, and we are just so excited to have you back with us this year, Howard. Howard, one of the things that Howard is doing from the right out of the gate is beginning to work very closely with all of our town Democratic committees. As people like to say, all politics is local. We actually believe that that's true. And Howard's been working very closely with our town and municipal committees to try to get everything that they need to be able to energize Democrats in their towns. And that's what he's going to talk with us a little bit about today. Howard.
Thank you, Kelly. I just want to say it's great to be back working in Lincoln County after 4 years. I made a lot of friends here when I first worked, and I'm very excited about this campaign and our great candidates. Just a reminder that this would normally be an in-person caucus at this point in the process in the campaign. Obviously, that did not happen, but what would happen at the caucus is that the town committees or the members of the towns would get together and vote on their delegates to the state. convention. You can still sign up and do that. It's possible, but the deadline for getting in your vote is 8 p.m. Tonight. So this is the last day, and at this point, the last less than 6 hours if you plan to vote for delegates representing your town. We want to just make sure you know that. If you have any questions about that, you can stick around after this Zoom meeting, and we'll be happy to answer questions. And there's also information on the Lincoln County website that's pretty thorough as well. So it's, you know, I hate for anybody to miss a vote, whatever that vote is for. It's what we get to do. So at this point, let me talk about some of the town committees. We have, first up, we're going to hear from a handful of town committees representatives who could be here. The first is going to be Jeff Barbach, who's here from Westport Island. And he's got some information both about the committee and about their upcoming event. So Jeff, you're up first.
Thanks, Howard. Appreciate it. So welcome, everybody. I think we've just had some great presentations from our candidates and looking forward to working hard for them in this election coming up. On Westport Island, we're starting to try to meet in person again. We've tried a little bit of Zoom, but what we're going to do, and for those who are interested, you don't have to be from Westport to come. This Thursday, we're going to have a Meet the Candidates event to meet Cameron and David, who are running for the state senate, at our town hall, and that's 1217 Maine Road in Westport Island. It'll be at 6:30. We'll have some refreshments. Please come prepared to mask up. We're going to be careful still, but we're going to take the opportunity to have a little time together to talk, to engage with the candidates, hopefully understand where they're going, be able to expand more than what they could do today, and start working towards a successful election this year. So I hope you can come. If you want a little bit more information, we do have a Facebook page, and you can find this event listed on the Westport Island Dems Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up, we have Mary Voskian, who is representing the Bremen Democratic Committee. And Mary, welcome. And you got to unmute. Time to unmute.
Got it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Howard. Okay, I am Mary Voskian. I'm municipal chair here in Bremen, and also on my committee, Autumn Mahoney, who is my secretary and technical guru. We have a couple of things that are happening here. We're in the process of plans are being made for a forum with Cameron and David, which would be the same type of thing that Jeff just talked about. And it will be at the Bremen Library. We have Cameron and David are working out their schedule, and they're going to be contacting the library to see what works for the library schedule. So we will be letting people know when the time and date for that particular forum. It'll be a chance for people to meet them, but also ask questions. And I'm going to be getting in touch with Clint, because we do the Bremen committee would like to have Clint also be available for us. By the way, the one at the library will be in person, and we'll follow, all the right procedures, COVID procedures. And I'll be contacting Clint to see when we can do that. Now, one of the things that our committee will be doing is working with the campaign, which is similar to what happens every time we have an election year, and that is to coordinate for signs, phone banking, canvassing, letter writing, all of those things, the same kind of things we do each time we have an election. And for anyone interested in any of those things that I just mentioned, the signs, the phone banking, canvassing, and letter writing, what you would do is you would contact the Lincoln County Democratic Committee directly to sign up for those things, to volunteer. But we'd also appreciate you contacting us, the Bremen Committee, and the contact information is BremenDemocrats@gmail.com. And you can, this would be a good way for you to sign up for our email list, unless you may have done it already. If not, please do that. And we will be sure to share information with our Bremen residents who are registered Democrats and signed up. And information such as what's coming up in the future is deep canvassing training. And I know Kelly's going to be getting us information on that. So we will definitely be sharing that with you. And we will reach out to volunteers and for volunteers, I should say, and hope that we can get you to join us. And there'll be lots of opportunities for this during this 2022 campaign season. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. We also have from Southport, Bill Nesmer, who's going to just introduce his committee. Bill?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Hi, it's Bill Nesmer. I'm from Southport. The other officers, I'm the chair, by the way, of the Southport Democrats. The other officers are Jane Lunt, who is the vice chair. The secretary is Lee Sherrill, who many of you will know, and the treasurer is Vernon Rail. There are, just to give you some information about your community, there are about 600 registered voters, so we are a small community among all of these communities. And last year, about 80% turnout rate on Southport. And the Democrats, I think, did fairly well in the general election votes at that point, and speaks well for us continuing the sort of effort we've been making in the last few years. There are 200 registered Democrats on Southport and 200 registered Republicans, and that has changed substantially in the last 6 years, as we were about 30% with 50% Republicans, and we're now equal to them. There are also about 150 independent voters. I would like to say that the next general meetings that we'll have, all general meetings, by the way, are held at the library, Cape New Wagon. And these general meetings will begin in May, June. And then again, we'll have a second one in September to help us get ready for the coming election. The Southport officers have met already and have organized themselves around the following set of campaign responsibilities. The first one of these campaign responsibilities, and I mention these because I think these are things you may be interested in being involved in. The first responsibility is to monitor the letters to the editor. I'm sure you all read the newspapers from your particular towns, but as you know, there are periodically strong charges brought against one party or the other, and the responsibility of this letters to the editor committee, as we call it, this group of people, is to monitor that and react when it's necessary. So that may be something you're interested in. We have, as a result of COVID, developed a group of people who essentially monitor the voting processes and voting obstacles. And that, that I think has helped substantially, given the fact that COVID has had some impact on the nature of voting, how we vote, what kinds of things that are necessary if you'd be involved in to vote, and so on. There then is also a third group, which is essentially the neighborhood door knockers group. If you want to call it canvassing committee, you can do that. And Southport has a very good heritage here of turning out good and effective door knocking teams. And I would encourage you all to consider this. It is not a responsibility to be taken lightly, but it's an easy one. You get to go knock on approximately 10 of your neighbors' doors and just find out whether or not they have any questions about the upcoming election. and if there are any things, any information you can get them and so forth. And I would say of all of the things that the small, rather the community parties do, the municipal parties do, these neighborhood door knocker groups, teams of people are probably as important among them as any. There's also a lawn signs placement officer. If you like or don't like a particular intersection because it's got too many lawn signs placed around it, talk to us and we'll arrange to do something about that.
Bill, thanks. I hate to cut you short, but you've actually outlined so much of what town committees do that I appreciate that.
Okay.
Because it sort of stands for what all the town committees will do. We did have some other folks that were going to join us, but had some conflicts at the last minute. And Kelly will be posting the contact information for Alna, Damascotta, Edgecombe, let's see, Somerville as well. And so we able to find out, and of course on the Lincoln County website itself, there's contact information for all of the town committees. Kelly, did I leave anything out here?
No, that's everything.
Okay.
And that also is everything. That is the end of our program today. I want to thank all of our guests, all of our speakers who were here today. Audrey Huffnagel, thank you. I don't know why I just got overcome with emotion there. I apologize. Anyway, thank you to all of our candidates for being here today, our town committee representatives. Thank you to our chair, Chris Johnson, to our campaign manager, Howard Waxman. Thank you very much, sir. And to our Zoom master, Autumn Mahoney. We literally could not do this without you, Autumn. And thank you to all for joining us. We're going to need everybody's help, as you've heard today. We're going to need everybody's help to elect all the Democrats that you've heard today and other progressives who you'll hear from in the coming months. And I'm going to drop one final thing into the chat, and that is how you can sign up to help us keep Lincoln County blue. That URL is lincolncountydemocrats.com/volunteer. And I hope to look on that later on today and to see all of your names on there having signed up to help us volunteer to turn out the vote, and so we can help keep Lincoln County blue. Thank you all for coming.